Okay, so let's get right into it. We're going to unpack this really core idea for any kind of sustainable business growth. It's this relentless search for what we're calling the most lucrative client, the MLC.
Right. And this isn't just about finding who pays the most, period. It's about finding the client who values what you do and is just fundamentally equipped to pay you what you're worth.
Which brings us to the main filter, the one that's non-negotiable. And that's the cold, hard reality of ATP, ability to pay.
Yeah, and that is probably the single most uncomfortable truth for a lot of entrepreneurs. You hear it and you immediately think of, the F word.
Finances.
Finances, exactly. For so many people listening, especially if you come from, say, a service-driven or a creative background, the whole idea of centering your strategy on money feels a bit, well, mercenary.
I get that. I really do. If you see yourself as a tender-hearted or mission-minded kind of person, a healer, a coach, a creative, prioritizing the bank account can feel like you're making a moral compromise.
It feels like you're judging someone's character or their worth by what's in their wallet.
Right. And we have to reframe that, like right now. This deep dive is not about being greedy. It is absolutely not about judging someone's worth. It is about one thing: sustainability.
If the mission is important, you need a financial engine to keep it going.
I promise you, you cannot serve your highest level clients. You can't achieve your biggest mission goals if you're secretly terrified of your next credit card bill or, watching your bank account go to zero every month.
That's the strategic piece that gets lost. Fear and desperation are just terrible business partners.
Awful.
If you're not profitable, you can't invest in better tools or training or the team that actually lets you deliver better results for people. Your ability to serve gets capped by your inability to be profitable.
Precisely. A business, by its very definition, has to be profitable to even exist. And that's why ATP is the great ruthless filter. If a potential client just can't afford your price, the price you need to survive and thrive.
Then all the other stuff. The great chemistry, the mission alignment.
None of that mass matters. It forces you to stop playing small. Not in your ambition, but in the clarity of your target. It instantly tells you who's in your bullseye and, maybe more importantly, who isn't.
And I think the hardest part of applying this ATP filter is, well, it's that moment you realize you might have been aiming at the wrong targets for years.
Okay. So that brings us right into this huge psychological trap, the sunk cost fallacy.
It's a major killer of growth.
I've always found this is one of the most just agonizing things for entrepreneurs to deal with. That sunk cost fallacy is that little voice in your head screaming, but I've already spent so much time and money marketing to this group, I can't just throw it all away.
It's so universal, that inertia. We see it in relationships all the time, which makes it super relatable.
Yes.
You know the relationship is toxic, you know you should leave, but you stay because, well, I've already put in 7 years, we have a dog.
We build a life together. I can't just walk away and let all that time be for nothing. It's that feeling of loss avoidance. It's powerful.
And in business, it looks like, spending years building a Facebook group with 10,000 members. Or maybe you spent 50 grand on ads targeting a very specific demographic.
Or built an entire website, a whole CRM system just for that type of prospect.
And then the moment of truth comes. You run the numbers, the real ATP calculation, and you figure out what you actually need to charge to survive. And more importantly, to scale.
And you realize the audience you poured all that into.
They just can't afford it. They're perpetually stuck in the tire-kicking phase.
So the cost of changing, creating one more new website, shifting your whole marketing strategy, abandoning that huge LinkedIn following. It's just exhausting to even think about.
It is, because it means you have to admit you made a mistake, a strategic mistake. And that's hard. It feels like failure.
But the cost of staying is always higher.
Exponentially higher. Staying in that bad relationship, continuing to market to an audience that will just consume your time without generating revenue, that's the real cost. The cost of staying put is bankruptcy. The cost of pivoting is just high.
You have to be ruthless. You have to separate the effort from the results. If the money for your $15,000 offer isn't in the rooms you're in, you have to find new rooms, period.
To make this really concrete, let's look at this case study of Henry. He's now known as the agency owner book guy.
Okay, so Henry runs this super specialized indie book publishing business. He helps experts, coaches, consultants, doctors, write and market these nonfiction authority books.
It's a premium service. For years, he charged a really solid, reasonable price, $25,000.
But the problem was a market mismatch, especially with coaches.
Yeah, the coaching space just got flooded. The top 5% were doing great, but Henry was spending all his time talking to the other 95%. And the data showed that a lot of established coaches were making, say, $75,000 a year or less.
Okay, and here's where that ATP calculation gets just brutal. He was asking a client to spend 1/3 of their entire annual income on a single marketing asset. No matter how amazing that book would be, that is a massive barrier.
It's a near impossible sale, statistically. He was just drowning in what he called someday maybes.
People who loved his system were a great fit.
Yeah.
but they just couldn't pull the trigger.
Right. So he was burning all this energy on discovery calls that were basically destined to fail from the start because the budget wasn't there.
So Henry and his team went back to the drawing board. They did the ATP math. They figured that for someone to comfortably spend 25 grand on marketing without causing massive stress,
that person or company should probably be making at least $250,000 a year in profit, or have a serious corporate marketing budget to pull from.
that one guideline, that a high-ticket service shouldn't be more than, say, 10% of a client's available budget for that category.
That forced them to cut out like 80% of their old audience. They started looking for who did have that budget and needed what he was selling.
And the answer they found was so specific. Agency owners. Specifically, agencies with 5 to 200 employees.
Why that niche? Because that employee count is a really powerful proxy. It indicates annual revenue, an established structure, and this is the key, a dedicated marketing budget.
An agency that size is often billing, what, $1 million to $5 million a year?
At least. So the pivot led to two just magical outcomes. First, Henry could charge more.
A lot more.
The new audience, the agency owners, they weren't looking for a bargain. They were looking for a trusted partner. For them, a book was a client acquisition tool. Paying $35,000 or even $50,000 for a proven strategy, that was a calculated investment, not a luxury.
And the second thing, he achieved the ultimate positioning. He became a super tight specialist.
He wasn't just another publishing company anymore. He was the agency owner book guy.
He literally created a new category for himself. By niching up to his MLC, he became the only logical choice for that very specific, very lucrative audience, same skills, 5-figure price jump, way less competition. That's the power of mirroring value with ATP. Okay, so that brings us to the tactical part. If you're listening to this, how do you find your ATP match? And maybe more importantly, how do you avoid the big mistakes that keep people stuck?
You have to start by being ruthless about the financial mechanics. So if your top offer is, say, $10,000, you have to ask, where exactly does that check come from?
Is it discretionary spending? Is it a line item in a budget?
Right. If you're targeting individuals, does that person have some known liquidity event, like a C-level exec with a huge severance package? Or are they a serial entrepreneur with successful exits? You have to define their source of funds.
And this is where most people go wrong, right? They start mixing up the variables, which leads to these 4 common mismatches.
Exactly. The first one is right price, wrong client. You've got a fantastic high value price, let's say 15 grand, but you are marketing in the wrong rooms.
It's the classic example. Trying to sell a $500 steak dinner at a vegan convention.
Perfect analogy. The dinner is amazing, the price is fair, but the audience is fundamentally structured to say no. You're wasting all your time trying to convince them instead of just talking to people who already value what you sell.
Okay, what's the second one?
The second is right price, fuzzy client. So your price is correct for the value, but your client targeting is generic. You're selling your $10,000 coaching package to small business owners.
You're competing with everyone.
Everyone. Because you don't have that hyper specificity like Henry did. You have to work so much harder to prove you're the solution, not just a solution.
And the third mismatch, this one feels like self-sabotage. Wrong price, right client.
This one is insidious. You're in the right rooms, talking to high ATP clients, corporations, high net worth individuals, but you are charging way too little.
You quote $5,000 for a service they expect to pay $20,000 or $30,000 for.
And it immediately trips that you get what you pay for wire in their brain. High ATP clients agree at a higher price with less risk and better quality. They don't think, wow, what a bargain. They think, what's wrong with this? Why is it so cheap?
They'll just look right past you to the vendor charging the price they expected to pay.
And finally, the fast track to failure. Wrong price. Fuzzy client.
The ultimate mess.
Total mess. You're not charging enough to be sustainable, and you're talking to a general audience that probably doesn't even have the limited budget you set. That is a guaranteed recipe for burnout and bankruptcy.
So when you finally get out of those mismatch zones, when you align the right price with the right high ATP client, something profound happens. It's not just about the revenue.
No, it's a transformation in your professional self-concept.
We call it the have a nice day positioning. It's this quiet confidence that comes from knowing your price is right, your value is immense, and your target client can absolutely pay it.
It completely shifts the power dynamic.
How so?
You stop being in the business of persuading people, you move into the confident business of vetting them.
Vetting them for fit.
Exactly. Does this client actually meet the criteria for my best work? Do they have the resources, the motivation, the ATP?
And this is the moment where you have to handle the pushback from your old audience, the low ATP folks you left behind. They come back and say, that's outrageous, you're charging way too much.
Yeah, and if you were the old, unsure you, that feedback would send you into a spiral. You'd think, oh my God, are my prices wrong? Am I out of touch?
You'd be basing your entire business model on feedback from people who were never your target in the first place.
But the new you, the one armed with the ATP math, you stay in control, and you can be warm about it. The script is simple, it's firm, and it's not defensive.
What do you say?
You just say, I totally understand. This offer isn't the right fit for you right now, and that is perfectly okay. My value is designed for a different client at this time. I might even be able to recommend someone else who's a better match for your budget.
And that's it. No argument, no defending the price, just a quiet acceptance that they're not your bullseye. And you finish with that simple sign-off. Have a nice day.
That is the sound of an entrepreneur who knows there are 24 more qualified prospects waiting for them. That confidence is the ultimate metric. If you feel like you're constantly persuading someone to buy from you,
That's a flashing red light.
it's a signal that you have not successfully found and married your most lucrative client.
So really what this all means for you right now is that ATP is the foundation. It forces you to niche up, to get tighter, and to serve your best client without that constant fear of burnout.
And I want to leave you with one final kind of provocative thought. It's a challenge to your current ceiling. You might feel nervous right now thinking you could never charge what Henry does, that you couldn't persuade a business to part with 50 grand.
That feeling is just a result of inertia.
It is. The perception of what's possible changes completely when you change the room you're selling in. Niching up doesn't just increase your price, it increases the client's expected value of what you do.
So the question you need to ask yourself this week is really simple.
Are you currently trying to sell a steak dinner at a vegan convention? Because if you are, it's time to find the door and move rooms.